We start tonight with the Melbourne Footy Club and its superstar Christian Petrarca. His future has only intensified today in the speculation surrounding a potential want to be traded to a big club next year. Caroline will take us inside this in a moment, but first, here's how the day unfolded with Petrarca speaking to the playing group. Gary Pert's comments. We'll hear from Tom Morris last night on Footy Furnace, and also Alan Richardson, the head of football.
Right at the moment, physically and psychologically and emotionally, that's our focus, to be working with him, listening to him and taking on board his views to go, how can we be better as a club next year? What do we need to do?
The truth is that he wants to go. That is the truth. What I don't know is whether that will lead to a trade request, because it takes a bit of courage to make a trade request, Lee, when you're not sure if you're going to be able to get out.
Today was a pretty important step for him to be able to talk to the way that he's been feeling, but we love him. We know that it's been a challenging period. He's got 5 years. He's red and blue. He's going to make us better. Has he had some frustrations throughout this period? Yes, he has.
Some interesting observations and also concessions there, and again, the conjecture is that he still remains open and indeed wanting to leave. Cara, your thoughts on this, and how big a challenge is it for Melbourne?
Look, I think he'll stay, and I don't think they'll let him go, and I don't think he'll ask for a trade. What is baffling to me is that Christian Petrarca addressed his teammates this morning for the first time as a group and talked about the trauma he'd suffered. And they already knew that, but just how badly it had affected him. Now, there'd been reports there was disgruntlement, that he'd gone up to Noosa or up to Queensland for 3 or 4 weeks. The teammates didn't know about it. I'm staggered that players didn't know that Christian Petrarca had gone up to Noosa for a month because he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, if that's what it was, or some form of stress and trauma after what had happened to him. Completely understandable. If he's got all these cultural issues with the club, when he addressed the players this morning, I wish he'd said that. I wish he'd mentioned that. I'm told that he specifically only spoke about what he'd been through. And I don't love Christian Petrarca, what he does on the field and what he gives to that club. But I find the communication breakdown at the Melbourne Football Club extraordinary. How does Max Gawn not be keeping his teammates in the loop about how Christian's going, about why he's gone to Noosa? How does no one really quite know what Jack Viney's issues are with the Melbourne Football Club?
And there's others too. Like there's just issues around that.
Pickett perhaps, but Petrarca's their greatest player, their Norm Smith medalist. Do you find it a bit odd? Like, is that unusual for a footy club to not be communicating to that degree?
Yeah, it's hard. It feels like a bit of a sensitive one as well, that maybe it's a bit personal, and that is the reason why they haven't been informed, and that's maybe why Max Gawn doesn't know. It's certainly a challenge for Max.
He's a captain, he has to know.
Every time Melbourne they speak about the leadership group and them addressing the standards. Here's Gawn signing the new contract, which did come at a good time for them, Hutchie, but it's a real challenge for him, because I don't see this Melbourne list competing into the future in any meaningful way. He's got a closet full of All-Australian Blazers. He's a premiership captain, but now when you're leading a younger team that isn't going to have the success, it's a real challenge, and I think it's his greatest test to date as a skipper of this footy club.
Carrie, just on your question, I think it's on everyone. It's not just on Max Gawn. I think it's on, the head of football, Alan Richardson. It's on Gary Pert, the CEO. Like, they're all...
It's completely on everyone them, Matthew, but I'm just... you two are the former players. This is a playing group that's won a flag together. How does the playing group not know about this situation? It's
not a harmonious collective playing group.
You've been big, Hutchie, at times when players have wanted to go, that you let them go, and often you don't lose by letting a star player go because you get paid overs. Do you think that's the case with Christian?
Well, their default position will be to talk him around, to coach him into a better position, to remind him there's 5 years, to explain how hard it is to go. Like, they've got to go down that path first. And that feels like, to Caro's point, is the overwhelming favourite here.
The Sydney Swans dug in famously with Ryan O'Keefe. And he went on to win a Norm Smith medal.
But if he doesn't want to be part of it, then they need to actually think about how, if it's possible. Like, the nearest precedent is Jeremy Cameron's deal at the Giants, which was 3 picks inside, I think 20 at the time, and look at the suite of picks that went in that deal. Jeremy Cameron was out of contract. This is 5 years to go, and probably arguably a higher ranked player. So there is a windfall of opportunity for them if he moved. The other thing is who could take him. Like, the Jungle Drums say that he prefers a big Melbourne club, a Collingwood or a Carlton. Not many of those have got scope room without some major reinvent in a short period of time. So the degree of difficulty, to Tom's point, is difficult. But I don't know whether they should fear losing him if they can't turn him around emotionally. They'll back themselves to do that as a first point of call. And it is interesting where Melbourne are as a team because the list isn't a part of this. Let's get to Jack Viney first before we move on. Jack Viney was asked, ironically alongside his dad, Todd, in a promotional video last week about his future. And did it shift a little bit on the weekend versus last week? Take a look for yourself.
Is sticking around with the D something that you're keen to get done?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Melbourne Footy Club. No plans to, not be a one-club player. That's my dream.
And you're not going anywhere?
No. We'll get through the season and we'll see how it pans out.
So interesting. That was less emphatic, wasn't it? Now, where are they in all this? Like, are they on the verge of a reset like Hawthorn?
I think that,
the window's shut.
I think they're in pretty good shape. Look, and it's not to compete next year for any top 4 or silverware, but that's the core group of 23 and unders, and I reckon that's a reasonable group. I think most clubs would love that. You've got a couple of key forwards with potential, great small forward. You've got some midfielders in there. You've got some running players, not sure about Tolstrup, Lordo, but if they had to take a step back, I would do that and go to the draft more so than go for a Dan Houston and give up 2 first-round picks to get them. I'd rebuild around those.
Yeah, I still think with what they've got, they should still be looking at be top 4 next year. I think with Christian Petrarca on the back end, they play great footy, get Clayton Oliver a big priest. These are all big ifs, mind you. Max Gawn still at the helm, May back in the team, Lever there. They shouldn't be looking for anything less than a top 4 position, in my opinion.
Let's watch very carefully at the off-field leadership now, because you feel that something's got to give. If Christian Petrarca is talking about the culture and they're saying they're working with him to try and fix it, something has to change.
Amidst all this, they belted the Gold Coast Suns on the weekend too, who were going to finish, 14th on the table, going into a year of expectation. Well, what does that say about Gold Coast and where they sit?
Well, late wins, how much do you read into those for Melbourne? Not a whole lot, but for Gold Coast, it's a big story, Lordo.
Yeah, it is. And I've been sick of hearing commentators say, before the game, if they win this will be the greatest season they've had. What does that really mean? Like the Champion Data Ease of fixture was ranked 1 in the pre-season start of the year. I know that can change with how teams perform, but even their injury list, they're the 3rd best ranked side. So, again, it was just a horror performance. And
it was through the midfield. And I can't believe that this midfield got beaten by 54 points from stoppage. And this Melbourne side, without the names that you mentioned, Petrarca and Oliver, look on the left there, Anderson, Flanders, Miller's back in, Rao. I mean, all the names that you would want, that midfield got beaten by nearly 10 goals, just scores from stoppage. Yeah, and I'm a little bit concerned about Matt Rowell, and I have been for a while. Look, I love the way that he plays and I really respect the way he goes about it, but when he's beaten through the midfield, you can't put him anywhere else. He can't go forward, he can't go back. He's so reliant on contested ball. So he's one that, I'd have some concerns about working on his game and outside of winning contested footy next year.
Broken record, the Suns, and it's been a flop by their own standards.
As the Giants head into their 7th final series.
Damien Hardwick set a high agenda with the expectation of he in the chair that finals was their own view of what they were, and of course the famous forecast at the start of the season.
80% of our first premiership side is sitting in this room right now. There'll be a few bits added along the way, but the fact of the matter is this side and this club are very capable of saluting in the not too distant future.
Disappointed is probably too nice a word, to be perfectly honest. That was a really, really poor performance and probably our worst performance of the year. It's been a disappointing year. We've made some progress in some certain facets, but the fact of the matter is we wanted to be a winning organisation, and that's not going to happen this year now.
And you would hope that Damien Hardwick is held accountable by that board because he set the agenda, he put everyone at ease. Don't worry, the list is good, they're all here. Lord, I think it's been a really poor season, and I hope that he is challenged on did he get the list wrong, or has he not owned his own end of the performance?
I still think you give every coach 12 months to get inside the club and have a good look at it, and you can't fix everything in 12 months. It's a big season for them. He gets another off-season to give it to them, harden them up, toughen them up. I back Damien Hardwick in to do that, and they should be better for it next year.